I've got to say about Kevin Rudd is that he is a remarkable human being. One thing's for sure, he's managed to poison so many things, and he has left a classic booby trap for the Labor Party upon his departure. You remember just a few weeks back he changed the rules of how leaders of the Labor Party were to be elected. This was the make me president for life change of rules. The trouble with it was, of course, this is a crazy rule change. And it is just so obvious now, and it should be obvious to every single member of the Labor Party, indeed every Australian, how silly it all is. Now, I've heard people defend it, it's all wonderful to involve the rank and file, etc. But let's think about the practicalities of this. Now, you've got two candidates at the moment, two putative candidates in Bill Shorten and Anthony Albanese. You'd say probably Shorten's the favourite to win a caucus ballot, Albanese the favourite to win a rank and file ballot. Now, how's that going to look? Let's say Albanese wins this ballot in the rank and file and becomes, by such a margin that he becomes the leader. Well then, what do you think the Liberals are going to say? What do you think every single journo in the press gallery is going to say? They are all going to say quite simply, you don't have the confidence of your colleagues. The parliamentary party doesn't want you. So he's going to be in all sorts of strife from the very beginning. And what about Shorten? I mean, what happens to him when he's beaten in a ballot by the whole Labor Party? His career's just going to suffer dreadfully. And there's something worse about it. You won't know who the leader would be for another couple of months. So what does Labor do for the first couple of months of the new government? It just plays around, uselessly, turning in circles, wondering what will happen next. And who's going to lead them? There's the other question. No one's even sure. I've heard that the Senate leader will take over, Penny Wong. Pretty hard to be the leader of the party in the wrong house. And if it's not her, who's it going to be? Chris Bowen, who's not a candidate for leadership. But one of them, somebody, who knows, gets to run the Labor Party for the next couple of months. This is a crazy system. Whatever they're going to do about electing leaders, this is not the way to go. And in that 2 months, there may be some very, very important decisions to be taken, which the new leader should have a very big hand in deciding. And the most obvious is what happens when things like the carbon tax or paid parental leave come into the Senate. What is Labor going to do? I mean, it doesn't matter what they do in the lower house. The Liberals have a huge majority, so it's just a non-event. But in the Senate, it may well matter, and may well matter critically. So what does Labor do? There are good arguments for and against voting for the carbon tax or voting against the carbon tax. You can say, as I've heard some say tonight, look, the Liberals have a mandate, we lost, we have to understand that, and behind that, lurking just beneath that official line is the other one that says the carbon tax is on the nose, it's about time we got rid of it and we can move on and try something else. Well, maybe so, but of course the other argument is, hey, we can't keep chopping and changing on these policies. We've pursued a carbon tax or an ETS for years. We get criticised. As Rudd was criticised, we had the most important issue of our times, and suddenly he dropped the ETS. Mind you, he did try to get it through the Senate twice, and the Greens voted it down, and so did the Liberals. But Labor has to consider those arguments. It's a tough call. Like so many things in politics, it's not about an easy, obvious answer. This is tough. You have to go through it, argue it out in your party, and make sure you know where you're going. But who's going to lead the argument? No one will know. This is absurd, and that's why I sincerely hope, over the course of the next 36 hours, these two men can sit down and determine who's going to be number one and who's going to be number two for the next few years. Because if they don't, the only thing I can see happening to the Labor Party over the next couple of months is chaos. And after a defeat like Saturday, the last thing you need is that. Labor needs a little bit of stability. Let's hope people are adult enough to provide it to them.